We are going to examine some of them in a moment, but Ziyanda Ngcobo is right inside the chamber, and he's going to go through some of the things that she has been able to pick up, setting us up nicely here in the studio, as we will then come back and offer a bit of analysis, but also throw forward to what to look forward to next week on Monday when proceedings here resume. For now, though, it's over to you, Ziyanda.
Well, it's been quite the 3 days, isn't it? And Mkhwanazi has now concluded his testimony before the Madlanga Commission, ending off by saying, "Angindawo inkosi sangcinile ngiyabonga." That meaning that the Lord has still preserved me, and I'll be ready to come and respond to any other testimony and rebut whatever else gets said before this Madlanga Commission, raising critical issues about perhaps internal systemic or systematic issues within the South African police service, talking about how he finds it peculiar that Lieutenant General Shedrick Sibiya, who had been dismissed by the South African Police Service for the Zimbabwe rendition case, and then he had appealed this matter, that firstly, the South African Police Service did not oppose this, but then a year later, he was then promoted after coming back, just as a detective, but then being moved to being the Deputy National Police Commissioner. He finds it bizarre that then this very same South African Police Service that dismissed him on very serious charges would a year later then promote him. He takes it a step back then as well. He goes and tells us a story about a letter that was penned by one Mesuli in the city of Johannesburg, where he directly wrote to the Minister of Police at the time, Bheki Cele, to flag, alleged corruption against Sibiya. He allegedly got around 3 million rand unlawfully from the city of Johannesburg, to flag an instance where an intelligence device, it snoops, basically. It's a device that snoops, and it's only meant to be within the ambit of crime intelligence. How this came into the hands of Sibiya at the time, and the grabber, and this had gotten into the hands of the city of Johannesburg. The purposes of this were not known, and these allegations that were being investigated by the city of Johannesburg were not concluded. And this Masulu goes on to say that they want to tell the minister, because they've been made aware that he intends to hire this Shedrick Sibiya to become the Deputy National Police Commissioner. Here's what Mkhwanazi said.
So I'm not going to talk much about what the minister did in relation to the letter, whether did the National Commission know about the risk that was flagged in the letter. I'm not in a position to answer that. But I know that there was this warning before he comes in. What becomes strange to me is that first he becomes a Major General at Detective Service, and a year later he gets promoted. Now he's promoted to the heartbeat of the police, so he's no longer responsible for organized crime alone. He's now responsible for the entire investigation, including crime intelligence, including forensic. Well, the National Commission has got powers to appoint. It's just strange that the same organization dismissed this man. A year later, when he applies to court, the same organization doesn't appeal, doesn't oppose, file papers to oppose that court process. And the same organization brings him back and promotes him a year later. I don't know what he has done on his performance agreement that was so exceptional on this term when he comes back, despite this warning that justified his promotion to get into this position. But this is, for me, became the risk that the organization should have foreseen back then, and we find ourselves here with an individual who came into the organization with this questionable background.
In essence, for the day 3 of the Madlanga Commission, we heard about at least 4 police ministers who Mkhwanazi accuses of one way or the other of interfering in the operations of the South African Police Service. Remember, at the beginning of his testimony on Wednesday, he started off by highlighting that clash between the policymakers and the executive and those who are meant to be dealing precisely and only with operations. So speaking about at some stage about Nathi Mthethwa trying to thwart the case against crime intelligence boss Richard Mdluli, Fikile Mbalula's name coming up today as well about how incensed he was about the appointment of a particular major general, so much so that it triggered amendments in the act to say that if a certain general is appointed within a senior or a certain ranking rather within the South African Police Service, it must be done in consultation with a minister. Bheki Cele showing up the most, however, today in many aspects about how even when he left the police service, he had actually tried to interfere in the case against crime intelligence boss Feroz Khan, and also even during his tenure when he was National Police Commissioner, the issue of the purchasing of these grabbers also coming up at the time having been signed off, and Mkhwanazi drawing a link between the grabber that was purchased in the city of Johannesburg and that during the tenure of Cele, and seemingly the same supplier providing these grabbers. Mkhwanazi asking a critical question about the one that was purchased in the metro, about where exactly this device is. It is not yet known. So much has come up, so many names have been mentioned, and certainly after this testimony we expect more to come forward. As he closed off, he mentioned that he'll also be appearing before Parliament's ad hoc committee, which will be looking into the very same allegations. Vuyo.
Thank you, Ziyanda. Ziyanda, of course, with some of what came up today during the proceedings there.